So this is a quick review of the Triumph Rocket GT Storm, and you can't really do a review of this bike without just dealing with the numbers, so let's just get them out of the way. So it's a 2.5 litre engine. It does 166 pounds of torque at just 4,000 revs and 180 brake horsepower at 7,000 revs, and all of that combines to produce a 0 to 60 figure, which is truly astounding, at 2.7 seconds. Hang on a minute, let's rewind. 2.5 litre engine, that's bigger than most cars. 166 pounds of torque. By way of reference, a BMW 1350 GS has got 110 pounds of torque. And as for the 0 to 60 of 2.7 seconds, a Porsche 911 does it in just under 4. We need to go and have a ride. So all those numbers, impressive as they are a bit pointless if it rides like a sofa. So we'll just go out now and do a little bit of mixed riding. So a little bit of A road, a little bit of B road, and a bit of dual carriageway, and just see what it rides like. So when you first get on the bike, it can be a little bit intimidating due to its size. But I have to say, a week in, a few rides in, a couple hundred miles, all of a sudden you realise this is an absolutely superb bit of engineering. And hats off to the Triumph engineers who've managed to create something this much fun whilst being this huge. So obviously the torque is a major part of what the bike's all about, and literally at any speed, and actually in gears, what I mean, I'm at 6 at the moment, travelling at 60, and if you want to, you've suddenly got that. Absolutely extraordinary. Now, you know, the need to change down is almost non-existent at any speed, within reason in any gear. You've got a huge amount of power on tap, which is inherently funny. Though you do find yourself deliberately slowing down, just so you can experience a bit of right-hand joy. Well, that sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? But you know what I mean. Anyway, here we go. So you find yourself doing this constantly, so because it just makes you giggle. Oh yes, I don't think I'd ever get tired of that. So anyway, I'll pick up later on when we go on a little different type of road, because this is just absolutely perfect. One thing I would say is it's not flickable in the way, you know, a sports bike is, or a true naked. But if you think of it as a slightly oversized naked, you'll get a feel for what you can actually do with it. It turns quite quickly. My previous cruiser was a Harley Fat Boy, and this turns much quicker. You don't have to dial it in, you know, a month in advance if you want to turn left or right. It works. Incredible bit of machinery. So just in terms of what it's like to ride, the forward foot pegs, it's remarkably comfortable actually. I've not done huge miles in it yet. The biggest day I've done is 170 odd miles in a day, and got off the bike, no ill effect. It's really quite a comfortable position, it's quite relaxed. You know, I've got a big trip planned later in the year where we'll do sort of 200 odd miles, 200, 250, something like that in a day. We'll see then how comfortable it is, particularly on your back. But I say, at the moment, really good. In terms of the controls, switchgear really works. I know some reviewers have said that the piece for the indicators and then the joystick to move the onboard computer around is a little bit close together, and they clearly are. Though that said, you tend to use the indicators all the time, so very quickly get muscle memory when you're using those. And then, you know, in terms of the computer on time, interchanging detail on there, it's not something you do very often. You know, unless you've been lobotomized and you're struggling to think. It maybe takes a second to just quickly realign your thumb to get on the right joystick. It's not a problem for me. I don't know what the fuss is about really. It kind of works. Everything else is pretty intuitive. I've got another Triumph and it's all obviously in the right place for that, so that was a really easy learn. But it's a really easy setup, not too fussy, not too much going on. The other thing that reviewers mentioned was how hot it gets. Now, bearing in mind that I'm doing this in end of March, it's not really been warm, but I've not really seen it before. I've gone through some fairly congested towns on it, and didn't really see any effect. Now, clearly, come August, when it's 27, 28 degrees, I wish, but that sort of temperature, then maybe then if you're caught in traffic, your left leg would get a bit, sorry, your right leg would get a bit cooked. But as I say, I've not experienced that yet. If it is the case, it feels like one of those things that's not such a big deal. Yeah, so really good riding position. I really like it. It kind of works. Seat's really comfortable. The ergonomics of where you sit is really comfortable. The clutch and brake really easy, not heavy at all. Now I have fitted a quick shifter on this, but I have to say I'm not using it that much really, partly because I think the engine has got so much torque that you do limit the number of gear changes. You can actually ride it in quite a lazy way, but yeah, really impressive, and yeah, good bike. One other point as well is the finish. Finish is exceptional. I think Triumph have come a huge distance in terms of their quality, and this is no exception. In fact, I'd even say it's a notch up. They've clearly identified this as a premium market and have built the bike to fit into that in all respects, particularly in terms of quality. I always think with bikes there's kind of three aspects to a bike. The first one obviously is what it looks like, and that's very personal. What does it look like to you? I absolutely love the look of it. I think if you're one of those people that grew up when you were young lusting after a VMAX, you'll absolutely love it. This is like a VMAX that's grown up and overdosed on steroids. I think it looks absolutely amazing. It's not going to be to everybody's taste. Say looks is a very personal thing. The second thing that you want to look at is what it rides like. And again, it rides in a way that it kind of shouldn't when you look at it. It is one hell of a bike in terms of its size, in terms of its wheelbase, in terms of its weight. But as soon as you get any movement on it, that weight just disappears, and it really does ride really rather well. So that's a huge tick. You can do decent miles on it, you can have a bit of fun on it, so it really works. So in terms of rideability, I think it's a huge tick. And then the third aspect, I think, is kind of a practicality, because obviously you do need to... Oh, what's gone here then? A little bit of excitement with the Rozzers out. Anyway, yeah, practicality, because you do need to live with it. And here I think it's not so good. Now the big issue firstly is moving it about. I mean, it is one hell of a weight of a bike, so you tend to struggle a little bit, and there's not many places to grab hold of, so you do get used to it, and I'm sure over time you'll work out various ways you're going to work that. But the big issue for me is for a GT bike, so essentially a Grand Touring bike, it's really difficult to get anything on the bike that you can strap some luggage to. Now you can go for the Triumph luggage, but there's two problems with that. The first one is it's not that great, and secondly it's eye-wateringly expensive, so that's not an option for me. And I'd much rather have a way of easily tying down some Krieger luggage or some Lone Rider luggage. But actually on here there's very few places to actually attach anything to, and that for me, for a GT bike, just doesn't work. So you can get by, you can get a rucksack, you can cobble something together. I've seen people coming up with things that goes under the seats, but it's just a bit hard work and a bit of a faff. So yeah, that's the only where it falls down. So looks amazing, rideability very good, and much better than it kind of should be, but practicality, I'd give it a 5 or 6. There you go. Right, so I've just come onto the B4425 from Burford down to Bibury, which is one of the best roads around here in terms of sweeps, decent tarmac and decent scenery, and I just thought I'd give you an opportunity to see the torque. So I'm currently in second gear, doing 28 miles an hour. So if you want to grab a handful, that'll do. So if I change up to third and again get it to 30, see the amount of torque this bike's got. So we're doing 34 now. That'll do. And if I change up to fourth and let it cool down to 30 again, 34, there you go. So fourth in 31, and then off we go again. Okay, and if I let it retard down a little bit again, and we'll get her down to, let's say 30 again, 35, something like that. Let's go into 5th. So we're doing 33 now. So it's outrageous, isn't it? And let's just try it in 6th. Amazing amount of torque on this bike. So if we just let the speed drift down again, nothing on the road, so nice and safe. Let's get it down to what we're doing now, 37, and off we go again. It really is. It could be a really lazy bike if you want it to be. So, in summary, what do I think about the Rocket GT Storm? It's a fantastic bike. It really is. So, I mean, it's a hell of a lot of fun. But let's get the bad things out of the way first. It's hideously expensive. It is a lot of money for a motorbike. It's incredibly heavy. The maintenance on it is going to be expensive. I mean, that rear tyre alone, when that goes, that's going to need a new mortgage just to pay for that. So that's the reality of it. In terms of the positives, it is a cracking looking bike. It rides really well. It's just really smooth. The clutch and the gear change is butter slick. Really impressed with it. The quality of the finish is outstanding. The engineers have done an amazing job with the geometry. It is just an absolutely awesome machine. Big question, could you live with it as your only bike? Well, I think that depends on what sort of riding you do. If you did quite a bit of city riding, a bit of motorway riding, most probably not. If you're pretty much, it's a toy, it'll be the best toy since Action Man came out with gripping hands and movable eyes. It really is an amazing bit of kit. So as with all things, very personal choice. I love it. I'm not going to be moving this one on for a very long time. Great bike, thoroughly recommend it.